Ready.
What's up?
Sorry about that. Hi, sweetie pie.
How you doing?
Yeah, let me
It's been
turn
a bit.
It has. Okay, hold on one second. Let me get.
Yeah. Let me
All right, I'm gonna
see
get
if
a water.
my audio.
You look
Let's see.
so nice to see you. I have not figured out how to blur the background on my Zoom for some reason today.
Oh, you go to settings, then you go to backgrounds and effects, and then you hit blur.
Oh, because I was going to the apps. You know how they have apps where you can change the background?
Yeah.
But I had done it successfully before, so I'm like, where the hell did it go? So what did you say again? Is it settings? Settings.
Yeah, you go to settings,
Okay.
then you go to background and effects, and then you hit blur. And I'm
Okay.
doing that because right now, me and my girlfriend are trying to find an apartment. So hold up, I'm in a basement right now. Yeah. So it doesn't look too
It looks
professional.
good. No, it
I'm
looks
just
good.
what this?
Yeah.
This is chaos. This is chaos.
He's so
So
cute.
I like to focus it, keep it
Focus.
simple.
I get it. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
My scattery brain loves all of that chaos, but when you
Mm-hmm.
put the blur on, then it's like, yeah, I just get to see your beautiful
It's
face.
just
I haven't
very
touched my ring
simple.
light or anything, and it's not sunny in Florida today. Where do you live?
So right now I moved back. I'm done with
Back
fucking
in New York.
Boise. I'm back in New York. New York, New York.
Okay, let me get some water. Hold on, because I gotta hear all about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I know that you just like fucked off all of a sudden and just like left New York last minute, kind of told your family. That was like a crazy story.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Utah? And now
Uh
where are you going back?
Idaho.
Idaho.
Idaho. Yeah,
I
yeah.
got small places.
It's it's
Idaho,
honest to God,
Utah.
it's the same shit, different toilet. It's so it was 3 years ago where I went from New York to Florida, then I went from Florida to Idaho, and that was without telling my family. That was that was a fun little conversation. That was. Yeah,
And you're
definitely
Italian, right?
I'm very Italian, yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
It was well, this is how it went. I called them and I said, "Hey, I'm in Idaho right now." And they went, "What? Like
Yeah.
for a business trip?" And I just went, "Nope, I live there." Dead silence on the other end of the
Wow.
phone. And I went, "All right, bye." Click. And that was how that conversation went. I did not want, and I'm like, what are they going to do? Are they going to take a plane? They're going to take a trip out to Idaho. The furthest west they'd been was Pennsylvania. So I'm like,
Wow.
I'll roll my dice on that.
Wow. Well, you know
Yeah.
what? They've known you their whole life, so I'm sure that's not the first crazy impulsive thing that you've done. So they're kind of like, yeah, that's just David. That's how they are with me. They're like, yeah, they're like, that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
birthday is Giselle. And so that's what my family calls me. And they're like, yeah, Giselle's just freaking crazy. And it used to bother me for so long. Like, I was telling my husband, I've never worked in, and I can't let anybody see this part of the podcast, but I'm like, I've never worked in a job for longer than 18 months. That's not
Yeah.
true. The longest I ever worked in a job, and I'm 50, so that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe I worked somewhere for 3 years, but that's only because I got my MBA, and they made my MBA was 2 years. But as
Okay.
soon as my MBA was done, I got the hell out of
You're
there. And
done.
so I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm not a good employee. I'm very entrepreneurial. And I used to feel badly about that. And I have a good friend, Ricardo. We used to talk about this as young people because our parents, like your parents, expected us to do certain things. And I'm like, I just
Yeah.
can't, like metaphorically speaking, I'm like, I just can't color in the lines. Like, that's just not me. You can't box me in, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
changed I changed that stupid acronym crazy that used to make me feel badly about myself into something creative. So I was like, people would be like, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy after decades. And I was like, you know what? I think you're jealous. So I came up with an acronym. Yeah. So I came up because I was living very free, very spirited. They were confined. I'm like, I think you're jealous. So I came up with an
Mm-hmm.
acronym for crazy, which means I'm creative, relentless, adventurous, full of zeal. And then it's like, why are you jealous? So anytime, yep. So now
Okay.
anyone, yep, anyone.
Oh,
So
I like it. I like it.
No one tells me anything anymore, but if anyone says, you're so crazy, I'm like, yeah, that's right. I'm creative, relentless, adventurous, full of zeal. And like, why? Are you jealous? And then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
don't call me crazy.
I love the question when people are like, "Well, David, like, how'd you do it?" And I'm like,
I
"You
just
you
did
have to
it.
be, you have to be, you just did it. I just made the jump." And they're like, "That's crazy." And it's like, yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be batshit out of your mind. But I think it's crazier to stay in a job you don't fucking like for 10 years, get stress and develop migraines, and then have a heart attack at a youngish age, because that's crazy to me. That is
It is.
completely insane.
I realized talking to more and more entrepreneurs, like I was talking to this lady the other day, and she said it perfectly. She's like, being an entrepreneur is difficult, but it's a calling. Like I've
Yeah.
been broke as an entrepreneur, but I've been broke as an employee. I've gotten paid every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Friday, when I get paid, I pay all my bills and I have no more money for 2 weeks until I get the next paycheck. So with entrepreneurialism, it's a little less predictive, right?
Oh
And if
my
you learn to
God.
manage your finances better, but they're both stressful. They both have their pros, they
Yeah.
both have their cons. But like Mark Cuban says, I'd rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for someone else.
Oh,
Like,
100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to say everyone can do it. People actually can do it, but I think it takes a certain type of person to do it longer than, a year. It's like,
yes,
it's not working. I'm like, yeah, it's not supposed to. It's
yeah,
supposed to take time. And
yes.
if it does explode in a year, oh, you're fucked. Because now
Oh,
you got to deal with it. That's worse. Because now there's no learning curve. Now it's a cliff, and you have to climb up a 90-degree cliff. It destroys your personal life. But hey,
yeah,
you made $1 million in 90 days. You could talk about it on social media all you want.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I've realized, I mean, I've had such success that I haven't had, I mean, of course I've had failures, but nothing that was like, oh, that would knock me out. But now
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where like, oh yeah, no, this is just a part of it. Like I talked to Perry Belcher, Mike Sam, all these
Mm,
people, Donald Trump, all of the, no, I haven't talked to him, but I'm just saying all of these successful people have been successful and lost it all, lost millions, and then made it back
mm-hmm.
up.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. This, like when it comes to the struggle or the failure or the not having the cash or whatever, I'm like, oh, this is normal. This is a part of it. Almost every entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
fails before they find success. It's actually a part of the process. And that's kind of what helped me. Like when the credit score is low or the bank
Oh my
account's
God.
low, you're like, man, but this is a part of the journey, right? This is a part, and you just can't quit,
Mm,
especially if you do have that calling. And that drive that, yeah, but so I'm not entrepreneurial. I can't, I mean, I'm not an employee. I can't
I'm
do it. I
not.
want to go back to work if I run out of money in business, or I need to hire someone, or I need to buy some
Mm-hmm.
software. I'm like, fuck, I need extra money. And then I'll go work somewhere for a little bit, But so
Yeah.
speaking of that, tell
Yeah.
me why you left Idaho. And then since we're talking about entrepreneurialism and the journey and the calling, I want to know what calls you to email, because you are extremely passionate about it. And I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs as a marketer. And I have to say that, like, the 5 or 6 email people that I do know, you guys are like fanatical. I know lots of social, I know lots of social media people too,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not like, oh my God, social media. But email people are like deliverability and this and blah, and like they love it.
Yeah.
So tell me quickly why you left Idaho. And then let's talk about you
Oh
and
my
email and
gosh.
how you got into it. And then we'll just organically grow from there.
Yeah. So, why did I leave Idaho, or how did I get email? Which one do you want first?
Idaho first, because you were, last I knew you
Oh
were
my
there, now you're
God.
back in New York. So you can tell me how the hell you got back into cold ass New York. And then
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay. So
let's do
the
it.
4 5 sentence version is I failed out of grad school, New York. I was studying to be a doctor, failed out in 2019, moved down to, I joined a mastermind 2 days later with someone else's credit card. That's a story in itself. Moved down to Florida, crashed on my twin brother's couch.
You flunked out of med school and then right
Yeah.
away went into a mastermind.
Yep. I was
Okay,
following.
I just want to make
Yeah.
sure you're right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was following different mentors, and in my spare time, I was looking at business podcasts, going on webinars. I was studying to be a doctor of physical therapy. So there were a bunch of physical therapy business owners who were, doing coaching programs. So I just eat all that shit up. And by the time I failed out, I'm like, oh, let me just do this business stuff. They already had an event that I was invited to. I'm like, okay, cool. Join a mastermind. And I'm like, New York isn't working for me. So I'm going to move down to Florida with my twin brother for 8 months because, 20 something year olds. And I crashed on his couch. Nothing worked. Tried 2, 3 different businesses. It all sucked. Eventually learned video editing. Got a job out in Idaho for a ClickFunnels influencer doing video editing.
Okay.
Learned Facebook ads. It was a chaotic start, pretty much startup. So I learned video editing, I learned Facebook ads, and I learned email. And the one thing that I realized was the biggest profit source in the business was email. So
And
after
this,
a while,
so hold on, babe. So, and this is
oh
because
yeah,
you had a behind the scenes look at all of the different channels they were using, right? That's how you, okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. And my boss said, yeah, you're pretty good at email. Just do that. And I went, all right. So that's how I learned. I cut my teeth. I pumped out emails. I don't even know how many, but it was great because I cut my teeth. I learned very quickly. And when
How
I
many
struck
years
out,
was this? So like how
mhm,
long did this whole process take from you leaving school to the couple businesses that you did that failed while you're on your brother's couch to the job in Idaho to becoming like an email master? Are we talking months, years? What are we talking?
years.
Oh, okay,
Years.
okay, okay,
hmm So
okay.
failed out in 2019. 2020 is when I was on my twin brother's couch for 8 months. And then at the end of 2020, I moved to Idaho, of all places, for a New Yorker. Oh my God. So I moved to Idaho, worked at that job for 15 months. After a while, me and my boss were like, this is just not working out. So I struck out on my own, and that was 2020. That was the end of 2021, and then 2022 and 2023 was all the email stuff. And now I'm back
Okay.
in the beginning of 2024. I'm back in New York. It's just been a
Oh,
wild ride.
it sounds like it, but you know what? It kind of sounds like how email's been, because now I know that we're going to get into that part later, but I know that there are supposed
Yeah.
to be some changes coming to email, and it has some people scared. Other people are looking at it as an opportunity. But before we
hmm
go to that part, I want to know, so how did you get good at email? You worked at this ClickFunnel influencer startup, whatever, for 15 months. Were you like on email newsletters, like email lists? How did
Mm,
you get, was it just trial and error? Were you taking copywriting? How
yeah.
did you get, and how do you know you're good at email? Like, tell me about that journey from day one to I can strike it out on my own. What is the
Yeah.
evolutionary process of getting good at email?
I just watched a lot of YouTube videos. I used my own paycheck to buy a lot of courses. I looked at templates. I put
Immerse
the
yourself in it.
time, I immersed myself because I didn't have much of a choice. Because I got lucky the first couple of times and I made a lot of money for my boss. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not terrible at this. So then it's like, okay, get better, more emails, more YouTube videos, more courses. And at the end of the day, experience was the best teacher. If you're
Yeah.
cranking out multiple emails a day, you either realize like, oh, I'm decent at this, or I suck at this and I should probably stop.
Because the
So
numbers don't lie, right? Like that's
the
the thing with
numbers don't
email.
lie.
The
And
numbers.
the way you know you're good at emails, you never do until you send the damn thing and take a look at, okay, so how was that? You never step in the same river twice. So
Mm.
you just keep trying, you keep taking a look. So I think experience is necessary, but man, I still feel like I suck at email. It's just a process of, okay, let's see what got the most clicks, what got the most opens. Okay, cool, I learned this. So it's the saying of the more you learn, the less you know. I feel like I'm just getting
Okay.
started, just getting started. my God, I hire copywriters and I'm like, this is amazing. This is incredible. So
Oh,
that's really it. You know, as I transition more into a consultant role, it's like, okay, what can I learn and make simple for my clients so that way they can take simple action and they're not getting caught in the minutia of what email can actually be.
no. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had this gig, you were good at email, you were making a lot of money. Now, was this because you were split testing different subject lines? Was it because you had a call to action in every email resulting in a sale? Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, like there's so much to talk about with email. I want to know about best practices. And for
Yeah.
me, for example, I have like a 70-30-10 rule where most of the emails should be, I mean, I don't actually practice it as an entrepreneur because I need to eat. But in reality, I know like when I was working in corporate, right, and they're just writing the paychecks, the emails
Mhm.
would be a lot of entertainment and education and value, and then 20% of the time, so that's 70% of the time. Then 20% of the time, that's when you ask for a sale, right? And then the other 10% of the time, you want to do something that makes you sticky or controversial or a little bit, just to
Yeah.
get attention. So that's kind of my content formula: 70% value add, entertainment, info, education. 20% of the time I'll ask for the sale, and then 10% of the time it's something controversial. So do you have an
Mhm.
email sort of process kind of like that? Like I said, that's how it should be in theory when I work in corporate. When I work in the real world,
Mhm.
every friggin' email, there's a fucking call to action that needs to have a financial traction at the end of it. So tell me how what's good best practices for email? So what did you do that made money from email basically?
Well, in the beginning, I didn't know any of that shit. I just kept blasting and blasting and blasting the entire list, which is why we had, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12% open rates, which by the way, if you have those, that sucks. Like that is you are
Another thing I
standing in
want to
front of a
ask you
burning
about
building.
is what's a good open rate? Like,
Um
I kind of know, but I'm in denial.
40%,
40
40%. Mhm. And I've seen
doesn't even
look,
sound attainable. Oh my God, you're hurting my feelings.
no, it's okay. But I mean, I've seen a list of 1.5 million emails, and that guy was getting 35% open rates, which boggles, which I mean, some people with, 1,000 people on their list can't get past 20.
Yeah,
So
like I know that that's
yeah.
what I aim for, and my emails are not there, but I'm so scattered in my business doing everything. Sometimes I wish I could just focus on email or just focus because the conversions are okay. But really, in all honesty, I'm at about
Mhm.
a 16% open rate, and I'm not,
Okay.
I mean, it's not horrible, but I'm not proud of it. And especially if you're telling me that you can get 40%, that's crazy. But I also know it
Mhm.
has to do with those were inherited lists, first of all. I didn't cultivate a relationship with them. So I think lead gen is important. I didn't even do the proper intro to this podcast. So I'll do it later. Anyway, because one of the things I say in the intro is, oh, welcome to the Soul System Strategic Organic Leads on Demand. And generating leads. And part of the reason you want to generate leads is to grow your email list, right? So
Right.
even though my email open rates aren't amazing, I do okay. But like I said, I didn't earn that list. It was given to me. So I think that your
Mhm.
open rates can increase if you actually have a relationship with your list. So maybe that's something you can tell us about too, is like, how do you get those open rates? Because I know it's not just
Yeah.
fucking, um, I know it's just not the subject line. Like you can't tell me, oh, we split, maybe
Mm-mm.
you will tell me
No.
that. I don't know. So yeah,
No, no.
how do you get, so you got good at email just through practice, trial and error. And then what would you say are some of the best practices? Or do you send out an email every day, twice a day, once a week? Just give it all to us. I'm going to shut up
All
now.
right. All right, all right. So before we dive into that, some people beat themselves up on the open rate, and
Yes.
I'm like, open rates are pretty, but clicks build businesses because clicks actually bring people to the stuff that you sell,
Okay.
right? So you can have a 10% open rate and make, millions and millions of dollars. And I can sit here and go like, oh, you should get 20%, but if you are doing higher leverage tasks, I'm not going to sit here and waste your time saying, "Oh, like let's get to 20." No, yeah, it would help to get you to 20, but man, if you're tapped for time and you're a business owner, make money. Focus on what matters. So that's my shtick. That's my spiel.
Okay. I feel better. I feel emotion. I
Yeah.
felt my emotions kind of regulate. You made me feel better. You made me feel less.
Okay, good. Good. And I know it's contrary to what every email person says on social media, but I'm talking to business owners, not email people. Email people like to talk to business owners as if they're email people, but that's beside the point. So best practices, that is opening like 3 cans of worms. So I'm trying to figure out which practices encompass all of them. There is one that I really like. Set
Okay.
expectations. The death
For
of
who?
all relationships.
Oh,
Yeah.
for the people on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
glad that you said that because on my Facebook page, I did an MLK promo and I didn't post it on my social media. So I'm like, shit, if you guys aren't on my email list, this is the MLK promo I did. They get to look at the past issues to decide if they
Mm-hmm.
want to sign up for it. Then they get to sign up. But then I have a survey right the fuck away. Do you want affiliate
Good.
information? Do you want this? Do you want my personal life? Because like, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're talking about, right? Setting
Yeah.
expectations. Okay.
Yeah. The death of all human relationships. I don't care if it's romantic. I don't care if it's friend, business, email list, is a lack of set expectations. And
Okay.
that will destroy your chances of getting to the inbox more than anything else. It is the opposite of best practices. So if someone gets on your list, I know they might get on your list for a webinar. They might get on your list for an immediate event, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to set the expectations right away because you don't want to distract them from the thing that they're there for.
Okay.
But once that crap is over, that's when you say, all right, cool, you've been to this webinar. You're going to be getting emails after it. Here's what you can expect them to be about. And here's how many times you're going to get emailed in a week. And if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe right here. And you make a big ass unsubscribe link, because if they don't want to be at the party, let them go.
Yeah.
Because if you have too many people in the party that don't want to be there,
They bring
it's going
everybody
to be a shit
down.
party.
Yeah.
And Google's going to notice that. And Yahoo's going to notice that. And they're going to start moving you to promo tab. They're going to start moving you to spam even, because we're just, man, they're cracking down on this stuff.
So
So
before
yeah.
we even get to scrubbing, because that's not something that we do in corporate, again, that's higher level stuff. Most small businesses don't know about that unless they meet an email expert like you. But of course, like I said, I know about it because of corporate. So before we even get to the point of scrubbing, which is a pain in the ass, you can eliminate that, a lot of that burden up front just by, like you're saying, setting expectations. So is that so
Right.
I was going to ask if that's something you do on the landing page, but you're like, no, I like your advice. You're like, give them what they signed up for, and then then let them know what they can expect. Because I'm on your list, and I don't open everybody's emails all the time, but I think you had an introduction. I think, yeah, you had an introduction
Yeah.
with that. And then it's like, basically, if you don't want to be on my list, get off. And
Yeah.
so
That's right.
I see your technique behind
Mhm.
emails. And it's always interesting doing these things from a consumer perspective and then the entrepreneur perspective. Because from the entrepreneur perspective, it's like, you know, that psychological. I don't want bad people on my list.
Yeah.
I want to use scarcity and all those kind of psychological things. So I'm basically going to tell you, if you don't want to be here, unsubscribe. I don't care. Then
Mhm.
on the consumer side, even though I know that's a tactic, I know it's effective because on the consumer side, I read your email. I'm like, you're kicking me out? It's almost like, even if I didn't want to be on your email list, what do you mean? Like, go ahead and unsubscribe right now. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
It made me want
Yeah.
to stay on the list. So I love the psychology of your marketing. So yeah, you can talk about all that good stuff. So the first best practice is to set expectations.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay.
I would say the second best is segmentation. And this gets kind of, again, when is it splitting hairs and when is it actually important? If you have
Okay.
50 people on your email list, separating them into 30-day opens, 7-day clicks, eh, that's your time is better spent actually building up your list. If you
Okay.
have 500 people, even then, I'm like, maybe 7-day clicks, 30-day opens. I wouldn't go past that. If you have 10,000 people, this is when you get more granular. Even 5,000 people, this is when you get more granular. This is when you separate into 30-day opens, 60-day opens, 7-day clicks, replies if your ESP allows for it. So that's when you get more granular. And if you are sending to the right people, if you're sending to very active people again and again and again, you're going to have a higher open rate. You're going to have a higher click-through rate. So that's something that, and again, it's the answer to every one of your questions is it depends. So
Right.
the
Yeah.
less people you have, the less you need to segment. The more people you have, the more you need to segment. I should have started with that. So I'll put that on a t-shirt later.
Okay, and then I mean, there's so much. Every time you say, like, I have a list of questions, and every time you say stuff, I want to add something to it.
Yeah.
You were just talking about segmenting the list. There's something I was going to ask you about that, but I can't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what it was now. Okay, but setting expectations and then segmenting your list. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. So when you're talking about what I call scrubbing, 30-day open, 60-day open, 7-day clicks, etc., that sounds like, oh, an email professional person, because regular entrepreneurs that are sending out emails don't think about it on that kind of granular level. And as a business owner, I'm also going to ask you about email consulting rates, and if someone wanted to like get an email consultant or someone to manage it, how much that would be, so you can educate me. And I'm saying that because as a business owner, you're running a business. Marketing in and of itself is a tremendous thing, and then you have all these different levels under marketing. Is there software that can do that scrubbing, or does an entrepreneur have to go in there every month and do it? Is that what you would hire an email person for? Because I know I should scrub and I don't scrub, right? I don't, because there's no time. But I handle my own email, and I don't think I generate enough revenue for me to warrant to pay somebody to do it. So educate me and anyone listening to this about that. So you're talking about scrubbing. I'm asking you, who the hell is going to do that? And is there software that can do that for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, make your life easy. Go to zerobounce.com. I split tested like 3 or 4 different list cleaning or list scrubbing softwares. And out of every one of them, Zero Bounce was the most detailed. It was the most effective. So I go with them. If you do have hundreds of thousands of people on your list, it might not be the best investment to go with Zero Bounce. You might want to use, and the name is escaping me. It starts with a P. It might be Proofly. Don't quote me on it. But if you do have hundreds of thousands of people, that might be the right idea. The second option, I would get an email service provider that auto cleans your list. So I've sung their praises a million times, but Campaign Refinery.
I've never even heard of them. That's one of the questions I have on my list. There's like Campaign, MailChimp. Do they do those? One second. Every podcast, every meeting has a toddler interruption. It's just part of the process. Didn't Nana tell you that I was in a meeting and to not talk to me until the big hand gets to the 6? Yes, Jordan.
My banana got dirty, so give me a clean one.
Your banana got dirty?
Yeah, because I need a clean one.
Okay, bring me the dirty banana and I'll give you a clean one.
Okay.
I'm nervous. I don't know what a dirty banana even entails, but I'll find out after this fucking podcast.
It's hilarious. That's the most funny thing I've heard all day.
All of my, like when I did my webinar with Mike Phil, same of all fucking people. She did the same fucking thing. Yucky?
That's not good.
Okay, here, let me open it for you.
This banana doesn't look good for my body.
Okay, here you go, honey.
Hey, Nakimbe, is it all right if I take a leak real fast?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Woo! Okay, I should probably go over my questions. Platforms. What else do I want to know? Good resources, how to build good numbers, how to grow. Ooh, right, and costs and hiring. Who, why, where, find, when, and how. And then tips. I think we've already gotten them. Let's see. Now. Ooh. Water, good. All right. Shit. I almost missed the chair. What the fuck? I almost
Toddlers will
missed.
do that to you.
That is crazy. All right. I think we're good. Okay. So best practices, set expectations, and then you're saying clean the list. Right?
Segmentation.
And segmentation, right? And scrubbing.
Oh yeah, scrubbing. So zero bounce, campaign refinery, which is unbelievably good. And that's where your toddler asked if there was the banana was dirty. Was it dirty or was it just brown?
It was just brown, but
Oh my
it
God.
was just brown. I never, if it, I don't blame her. I mean, if it doesn't look good, like even avocados, when they start to turn, it's not
Oh
out.
yeah. Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty.
But I think she just wanted another banana too. She's at that age where she thinks she's slick. And I'm like, I know all your tricks. I know you want another banana. Nothing is wrong with this
Oh
one.
my God.
I don't
Oh
have
my
the
God.
energy sometimes to like combat her. So I'm like, here, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my
Okay,
God.
so you
Okay.
told us about two good scrubbing things, which is good because to me, I'm like, I don't even fucking hardly have time to check my email, much less
Mhm.
scrub it.
Yeah.
You're saying, so should we move into other best practices with email? Is there anything you else want to cover, or do you want to
I
tell me
think,
about who would manage email? Like if you weren't getting
yeah.
software, like how much you
Yeah.
would pay someone, or we could focus on that later. I don't know.
Yeah. I think one thing to add to scrubbing, so you can edit this in.
Yeah.
The third thing, if you are scrubbing a list and to keep your list clean. Now, this isn't something that I do, simply because I put people on Campaign Refinery because I'm like, this is the best ESP.
How much is that? How much is it? So we know.
Oh my gosh, it's 97 a month, and it's you're paying not per subscriber, you're paying per email sent, so you're actually saving a lot of money compared to if you were to hold on to a bunch of people who are just dead.
Yeah.
So it's 97, and I think after that it can be 297, and then it goes to enterprise. It's
Okay.
pretty incredible.
I think I
So
would probably like that because one of the notes that I wrote down was just the psychology of email.
mhm.
And I've I have archived people on my list who have unsubscribed or whatever, but I never get rid of them permanently, even though I know they're not interested or whatever it is, because like I said, as an entrepreneur, we have this crazy thing. But if a machine is doing it or software, I don't have to be
Oh.
emotionally involved at all. I just
Mhm.
go to a clean list all the time rather than well, how come this person subscribed? Or if it's someone that you know personally, like, why did my sister-in-law unsubscribe? You know what I mean? There's all this personal. What do you mean this friend of mine unsubscribe? I mean, I unsubscribe to people's things. It's nothing personal, but as an
No, it's not.
entrepreneur, it feels personal. So I get that.
No.
So you're saying software can do it and that can take some of the emotionality
Well,
out.
it does. It only unsubscribes the emails that are going to bounce because they might be spelled wrong. They might be a bot or spam trap. So it unsubscribes those people automatically. But if your sister unsubscribes, the philosophy that I have, because I think a lot of people like freak out. It's not that the person doesn't like you or doesn't want to buy from you. They just don't want an email. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all they're telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
some people when they still follow me on social media. I'm like that. I'm like,
hmm
sometimes you
Yeah.
just get too many emails.
Yeah. Oh, and the third thing, oh my God, that almost got away from me. If you are spending a lot of money on ads, I think it would be worth it if you had a Google form. Because if you don't have an auto cleaning email service provider, I think it would make sense on your form, go to Fiverr and have someone set up an API with zero bounce. So that way, if the email itself is spelled wrong, if it's a bot or spam trap, the form itself doesn't get submitted. So
Oh,
that way, if it brings someone over to your email list, like that way, that's going to deflect so many emails. And this happens more often than not, where people spell instead of Gmail, it's Gmail, or instead of Yahoo, it's Yahoo. So
right.
they'll spell things wrong, and they'll even spell their own email addresses wrong because people have other things to do than to spell words right. So that's something that I would do if you are putting in a lot of traffic. Go for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's
Spending
number
money
3.
on ads, generating a lot of traffic, let them go through a Google form first. With
Or not even a Google form. This could be on your funnel. Just have the API on like the oh my gosh, the form
form.
elements where people type their email. Have it's if you integrate the API, it's going to say,
Verify.
invalid email before you hit the button. Now, I do not look, I just like light switches that turn on and off. I am not the guy to explain what I don't know. So
Right.
that's why I hire smarter people than me. So that's really it. I could talk about the deliverability stuff because I have knowledge in that, but yeah, API stuff, man, just hire somebody. Oh my God. You spend like 50, $100 on Fiverr and get it done.
Okay.
Yep.
In terms of frequency for email spends, again, it's always, business specific. Is there a definitely not to do? Do you so like again, because the IM world, it's so interesting having experience in both the IM and the corporate world because the thinking is so different.
Yeah.
People, for example, we need to eat, right? So they're like blast every day. Who cares if they unsubscribe? It doesn't matter. Every day is an opportunity to make some cash. Other people are like once a week. Other people have like monthly newsletters or weekly newsletters. What are your thoughts around that?
At some point, the law of diminishing returns kicks into gear. So if you're emailing people twice a day and you split tests and you only send an email once a day and your revenue doesn't change, why are you making more work for yourself?
Right. Okay.
Why are you taxing your team or your contractors more? The only time I think it's a really good idea to email multiple times a day, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 times a day, is when it's like a Black Friday promotion or big promotion, because there's always people that don't know what's going on until the 5th. Like, you could start a promotion on Monday and people aren't going to know it's happening until Sunday night after you sent them over a dozen emails.
Yeah.
I
I'm
promise.
like that too. I have to catch up on emails. I have to maybe on Sunday when I have some time. I was like, shit, I missed this,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's when I think sending multiple emails a day is okay, because you are going to see a return on that. But I think if you have, I know the common knowledge is to hit your list every day. But if you have 500 people on your list, they're not really buying, and you're losing more people than retaining them because you're sending too many. Then you have to ask yourself, do I really need 7 a week? Maybe 3 is fine. I
Mhm.
believe the minimum is 3. Like,
Okay,
I think weekly
3 a week.
newsletters are making a comeback, but they're usually done by people who know what the hell they're doing and have been in business for a very long time and have a big following. So
Okay.
I don't think once is enough. If you're a small to medium sized business owner, if you're under 10 million a year, I think you should be doing it 3 times a week,
Okay.
right? At
I
least.
agree. I think you got to be top of mind. People don't always check emails. You need, yeah, I agree. Okay. I
Yeah,
don't do it every day. Like if you check again, I'll probably do maybe twice a week, 3 times a week if I'm not doing 101 other million things in my business. But so that
and
brings me to the next thing. So how
yeah,
do you get your client? So this is where I'm moving with this.
sure,
I
sure,
want to
sure,
know like how you got your clients, and then I'm moving in. It's a two thing. Like on your side, how did you get clients? But then on the other
sure.
side, when does an entrepreneur know they need to hire an email person?
Oh my
And
God.
what are we looking like in terms of pricing, right? Because most people are
Okay.
like, I can't afford
Yeah,
it. I'm just going to do it on my own. But we know if someone is not handling it, they're losing money because they're not getting a lot of revenue
absolutely.
opportunities if they're going in spam or whatever. So tell me, how did you get clients and what kind of people are looking for email list managers? And then as a business owner or entrepreneur, when should one start to look for an email manager? And then you can talk about the
Yeah,
benefits. To me, they're obvious, but we'll state them for the state of the podcast. So yeah, how did you get your
yeah.
first clients? Who the hell needs these services? And when do
So
you know you need the services?
yeah. So for me, it was about building a personal brand. I mean,
Okay.
the last boss I had years ago said, if you stick with me, you can build a bigger platform, um, so fast, more than you ever could. I'm like, all right, that's kind of bullshit. Because I went out and I talked to people, man. I went to events, go to events. If even if you're semi decent at what you do, go to events. Even the one-eyed, what's the saying? Even the one-eyed man is king among the
Fine. So
blinds. I don't know if that's offensive nowadays or not. So if it is, I guess I
I'll look it up
apologize.
before we broadcast it.
I'm gonna get canceled on Twitter for that. But anyway, the analogy is sometimes like there are big, big, big companies with hundreds of thousands of people on their email list, and they're not emailing them. So even if you are a shitty copywriter, you'd still get them results. So obviously do your best to be your best, but go to events, get to know people. Don't be weird. I was weird. I was that weird guy in the beginning that would just Facebook message people and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And don't do that, man. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Just get to know people. Posting on social media, for me, it helped because when people looked me up, they're like, "Oh, this guy's actually posting about stuff." But yeah, I think just my business success would have happened way sooner if I just talked to people. Because I did that at my job, right? So people got to know me through there. But just going to events, talking to people, just buy the fucking plane ticket and go. So that's how it started for me. And
So how
so
did
if
you
I
get your
were,
first client and how much did you
yeah,
charge them? What was their business model? Why did they need someone? And
oh
then you
my
can tell
God.
us about when an entrepreneur needs to hire someone like you and some pricing.
So the first client, do you mean list management or copywriting?
List management, because I am going to get into
Yeah.
copywriting after, but how did you sign up your first like monthly client? Because that's always like the
Oh my
first fucking high
gosh.
for any entrepreneur. Like, yeah, I made it.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah. The first client I signed was a 3-month contract for 10K for list
okay.
management. So I
How
crap
big
my
was their
pants.
list? And how, yeah, that sounds like a pretty
Yeah.
good company because they're
Yeah.
basically paying you about 3K a month. So they got to be making over 100K. So
Right.
how did you convince them? Did they have somebody before? Did you have to negotiate with the price? Were they expecting the price? How did it all unfold?
They reached out on social media because I was making a lot of posts and I was
Organic
commenting.
posting, the soul system,
It
woohoo!
it,
Strategic
it
organic leads on
works.
demand until you. I say
Yeah.
get as many leads. This is the soul system, which I didn't introduce, but this is the soul system podcast. Strategic organic leads on demand. And it's all the different ways that you can get a steady stream of organic leads until you become in a profitably enough where you can invest in paid ads and scale. Because eventually
Yeah.
you need to scale. Organic is only going to go so far
Yep.
rather
Yeah.
than jump in too soon or make all of those mistakes in paid ads. Learn along the way, talk to people, grow organically, learn your mistakes, and then be super precise in paid
Yeah.
ads. So your organic posting, I'm just spending a minute on that because I'm always plugging the soul system, but
No, you're good.
so someone reached out to you because of your organic posts on social media. And what did they say?
Yeah.
What did they want? And what industry were they? And how big was their list? And then how was the price negotiation?
They were just looking for someone to handle the list because they're, I mean, it was a husband and a wife, and the
Okay.
wife was the ops, the husband was the face of the company, and he was a consultant. And
Okay.
he would go around to different schools, and he'd charge multi 5-6 figures, and they were just tired of him being on the road. So and they had tons and tons of contacts, but their emails were just, they were bad, they were going to spam. So for
Mhm.
me, I went in, I cleaned it up. The negotiation, the price negotiation, there wasn't any. It was kind of, I said, I looked into the camera, and this is a great tip. You look into the camera, you say the number, and you shut the hell up. And for me, she just went, "Oh yeah, that's fine." And I went, "Okay, great." On the inside, I'm like, "What? How did that happen?" So
That's always a
so
great moment.
so yeah, that's what happened. It was my first list management client. So I did my best. I did a pretty mediocre job with what I had. Their email list was very, it went down from 25,000 people to maybe 6,000 because they didn't engage the leads.
Okay.
I was sending emails asking for replies. We did a holiday promotion that just bombed. It bombed because I think I was too nice. I didn't say, when she came up with a product idea, I went, "Oh, okay." I didn't have the nerve to say, "Hey, survey your audience first. Let's actually make something people fucking want."
Ooh.
And the
See,
funnel
you do that
page,
now as a boss, though, as a boss entrepreneur. Once you're
oh
in
my
your business,
God.
tell them how the fuck it's gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went on, and knowing what I did working with that influencer for a while, I saw that the page was a WordPress page. I would say page, but it was just so bad. They had to scroll 10 seconds before they actually hit the buy button. And again, I should have opened my mouth. I should have said more. But needless to say, at the end of that 3-month contract, everything ended. And then 2 weeks later, they were in spam. And all the work I did was undone.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I do appreciate them for giving me that option, for giving me that chance.
Yeah.
That's what kickstarted everything. And then that led to another client where it wasn't upfront. It was 35 a month from there. So that was a lot of fun too. And it's just you figure it out. You just make it work. I'm not the guy to say like, "Oh, here's how to get all these agency clients." No, I honest to God,
You
organic
process.
posting,
Sure.
meeting people in person. That's it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're charging $3,000 or $3,500 a month,
Ooh,
what
yeah, let's get into
value?
this.
Because again, as an entrepreneur, you're like you're weighing your risk reward, right? I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
what's the benefit of me paying an email person for? What are you doing? How many hours are you working? Like all those tough questions that
Yeah.
you. I don't know if they ask for guarantees or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
what are you getting for that money?
Yeah. So
I charge, by the way, that's what I charge. Like when I
mm-hmm.
told my girl my price, I'm like, it's like $1.50 an hour on the low end because she knows me. So it's usually like $300. I do 2 emails a day. That's 600 a week, 2,400 a month, about
Yeah.
$3,000, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's pretty standard, but I had to convince her of that. We're going to talk about copy in a second. I had to tell her about strategy, and I use pictures and SEO because I know it. Like I do so much fucking shit. There's so much psychology
Yeah.
behind the email. So we can talk about that. And she's going to do a testimonial for me. And her testimonials, every time Kimbe sends an email, I make money. She makes more fucking money than me. And it hurts me sometimes. It's nice that I got paid for this, but every time I send an email, she's like banking, right? And so that's what I think an email list manager might have to convince somebody of, or
Yeah.
that an entrepreneur may need to understand that it is actually a worthy investment to get an email list manager. So tell me about that? Who,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. So I'm gonna
What
go
am I
on a bit of
paying for? What am I getting out of this? You know, that they always
yeah,
want to.
yeah. So I'm gonna give y'all some things that I've actually recently learned as well. When you hire somebody for your email, I would not just hire a copywriter. I would hire a consultant disguised as a list manager. So the list manager would be taking care of writing the emails, but they'd also be taking care of sending them out, looking at the data and saying, hey, this is working. This might not be working. Hey, the funnel is shit. Maybe this isn't an email problem. Maybe this is a lead problem. Maybe the lead quality is bad. So you want someone who has the wherewithal to do that and the wherewithal to speak up and say, like, I'm from New York, right? Now it's like, if there's something wrong, be like, hey, look, I'm seeing this, this, and this. This is what I'm seeing. Y'all, this is your business. You can do what you want. But if I were in your shoes, that's not what I would do. Right.
Nice.
So you want someone that can be upfront with you. As far as pricing and as far as whether or not you should only get a copywriter, you should get a contractor list manager, or you should get an employee. This is
Wow.
when this
You've
is
got to
when
break all of those down. I didn't even know all those
yeah,
options were available.
yeah. And I had to
Thank
learn
you
it the
so much,
hard way,
babe.
you
Yeah,
know.
thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. This is valuable stuff, babe. Thank you. I appreciate it so
absolutely.
much. Because
Absolutely.
people don't know enough about email. Like they really
Hmm.
don't. My girlfriend, who's like, she's in this like Illuminati email thing. She's with the, she's like with the deliverability people and like, you know, the 6,000
Yeah.
that know all this shit. But she's like, everyone's focusing on social media all the time. And like emails change, so much shit has changed. And people would be better off if they understood or focused a little bit more on email. So I appreciate you getting into this stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I would hire a copywriter. You know how I said you should be writing 3 emails a week minimum?
Yes.
If you are not doing that, just don't bother. Don't waste your time.
Okay.
For me, you were getting my emails. I actually, and this might sound hypocritical, I don't care. I'm a business owner. At the end of the day, I'm like, this is not getting me the return I want. And so
Mhm.
I'm not going to keep up writing 3 emails. And I think if you can't keep up writing 3 emails a week and you're not one of those weekly newsletter people with 50,000 people on your list, don't do it. Don't waste your time and don't
Getting a
waste your
manager, you
resources.
mean. Don't waste your time
Yeah.
getting a
Don't
manager.
don't waste your time getting a manager. If you're going to get a copywriter, pay the copywriter to get you 12 emails a month. So that way you can send out 3 emails and you can do it yourself and input it. Right. So
So if
there's,
someone was hiring just
yeah.
a copywriter, and so this is really good for the audience. So just a copywriter,
Mhm.
they're just email, they're just writing the stuff, giving it to you, you send. They're not looking at analytics, they're not looking
Nope.
at okay. Is a copywriter $3,000 a month? Or is there less? Are they less? Or you don't know?
Man, I've found some kick-ass copywriters on Fiverr,
Okay.
and anywhere from like 400 to 600 a month. There are some copywriters, of course, that are 3, 5, 10 grand a month. But again, what's the return that you're going to get? Are you doing this as a sales play, or are you doing this as a branding play? Some of my clients, when I ask them, hey, what's the metric that you want? They just say, I just want my emails going out. Like, I don't care about the ROI. I just want my emails going out,
Yeah, top of
which is
mind
interesting,
branding.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've had, and that's not even some big corporations that are okay with that. I've had some small, very small people with hundreds of people on their list. They're like, yeah, I just want them going out. That's it. That was the KPI they wanted. So if that's what you want in your business, great. Get a copywriter. Don't get a copywriter for like $100 a month. Like, don't do that. I've tested it out. The emails were shit.
Of
All right.
course.
So like, get someone on Fiverr who's pro level services, who has a lot of 5-star reviews, and just spends like $500, $800. Tip them well, tip them very well, build a relationship with them, and they'll take care of you. So
Okay.
that's something that I've done as I'm transitioning out of just writing the emails and moving to a more strategic consultant role. I
Mhm.
got a copywriter. I love him. He does the work that I don't want to do. And I'm more than happy if he doubled his rates, I would pay him. It would
Got
be,
it.
and that would be $1,000 a month.
So a new entrepreneur starting out, or someone who's like not super committed to email, they just want emails to go out. You know, you might be on a low budget. You could probably get a 5-star, you know, pro 2-level person on Fiverr for like 600. Okay, so let's say that's happening, but now I want to move to another level. Let's say it's analytics, or you talked about the software that scrubs, but let's say I want more than, I want split testing. I want to increase conversion. So tell me about the next financial step up, the difference between a copywriter, consultant, and an email strategist, or whatever the ones you were telling me about.
Then if you're moving to the next level, I would look for an email list manager. Okay.
And that I've heard of. Good.
Yeah. So that's what I do. So you can go
those are always
anywhere.
around $3,000, right? $3,000-ish.
It depends on how confident they are, right? So you can have one who is at 25 a month. You can have one that's at 10 a month. Again, where's the ROI? Are you okay with spending 10 a month for branding? Some people are, some people aren't. Some people, if they're getting 10 a month, they want to make 10 times that amount, and that's cool. You run your business how you want to run your business. For me, obviously that number has gone up. I do not charge 3,500 anymore. Not because I'm a cocky son of a gun, but because I know a lot.
Value you bring
a lot.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not just going to look at the emails. I'm going to say, hey, how do we repurpose this into an SMS? This funnel, I don't like the way this funnel looks. I've run ads before, so I can say, maybe this isn't the positioning we need based on the responses we're getting from emails. So, you know, you can be spending 2,500 for the emails, but then 7,500 for the consultant to say, don't do this, do that. So I would say anywhere between 25 to 10, 10 being on the more expensive side. So that would be if you're sending out, you know, 5 to 7 emails a day. Holy crap, not a day, a week. Yeah. And if you're doing a promotion, you know, once every 3 months. Okay. So that's when I think it makes a sense. I am Italian. It makes a sense to do that.
Okay.
When
So a business should be making at least, like, given all other expenses, a business should be at least at 6 figures. Like, so they've got, let's say they're making $8,000 a month. They can't afford to spend 3 in email because they know they're going to probably get that and more back, or the brand value of it, right? So
exactly,
you have to be in a pretty good financial position. Yeah, and there are different levels and stages and elevations of entrepreneurialism. Okay, so now someone's like, okay, we got an extra $3,000 to $10,000 or whatever, and we're going to hire someone to. What does that person do?
Yeah.
So we got a copy person, and then I want to also talk about how important copy is, like how much of a conversion factor that is. Because people may not be aware. They might, I know from a lot of businesses that I've consulted with and seen, they feel so good about themselves because they're sending out emails, but their emails are
garbage.
Shit, right? So
yeah. So I think,
what are we paying you for? What are we getting that, you know, what do you do? What does a list email manager actually do?
they make sure that you never have to worry about email again. They should keep you out of spam. I like to say we write them, we send them, we systemize them, and we keep them out of spam. So that way you're not writing emails on a Friday night.
So we're never, as a business owner, you're basically saying you never have to think about email again.
Yeah.
You never have to think about email again. It's just going to be this well-oiled machine running in the background, bringing in branding or cash, basically.
Yeah. And obviously that it takes a while to get there. Some clients, you know, it takes 2 weeks to get to that point. Some clients, it might take a month or 2, depending on how complex the business is. So this is my next stage after contractor email list manager. If you are emailing people every single day and you have multiple promotions going out like every month, if there are multiple promotions, this is something that I actually dropped the ball on very recently with a client. It was 7 emails a day. They were promoting things every week. And at some point, I just couldn't keep up with it because I had other clients as well. So I dropped the ball because I should have said to them from the beginning, it sounds like you need an employee. You need
Oh,
someone
right.
just to
This is the
focus
next
on your
level that
own
you're talking
business.
about.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And like I
Good
said, I
shit,
dropped the
babe.
ball.
Oh,
I disappointed someone and I learned my lesson. So at some point, you just have to suck it up and get an employee.
okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And it's interesting as you get higher and higher and higher, you know, what's the saying? The people that got you to 7 figures won't get you to 8 figures.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to need to break it up because the email list manager can't handle all that crap. So you're going to have to break it up into, all right, now we have a team of copywriters. Now we have a team of lawyers, right? I know Agora has like a team of lawyers that they have to pass through emails for compliance. And now
Yeah.
we have a team or a person for deliverability only. But this is
Right.
if you're getting into enterprise level stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll probably have a follow-up podcast if you don't mind on
Yeah.
deliverability and
Oh, heck
DMARC and
yeah.
all that other shit. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
it next week because we'll do
Yeah.
a two-parter, which will be really fun to promote. Like, whoa, they do a two-parter. But this is so an employee. So if you got a contractor, what is the minimum? Like they say like 3 months, is that like, or 3 months, 6 months, a year? What I'm trying to figure out is, let's say I'm thinking I could pay an employee $3,000 a month, and I'm also going to be paying a
Benefits.
contractor $3,000 a month. So a
Mhm.
contractor that's like do you do them in 6 months batches or three? Because this is the thing I tell people, like as entrepreneurs, we always want to offer like the 3 month package, but you and I both know that you motherfucking need to work this for 6 to 9 months for us to actually see any shit. Maybe not an email all the time. But 3 months may not be enough. Like you were saying, the first people you worked with, they ended up right back in spam 3 months later. So what
Yeah.
is
2 weeks
reasonable
later. Yeah.
yeah, what is a reasonable expectation for an entrepreneur in terms of spend to move into like having an employee? Is it still like $3,000? They're just working 25, 30, 35, 40 hours a week and not on the contract by contract thing? Like what's the difference? Because the price is almost the same, right? You're not,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Whether it's 3,000 or 10,000 for an employee or a contractor, the money could be the same. So yeah, how's the contracting? Because I guess a contractor just has other clients, whereas an
Yep.
employee is just working for you. Is that the main difference?
That's the difference. And the difference is attention, right? With a contractor, they're going to be splitting their attention among their clients. So they
Yeah.
might be working on your business 2 hours, 3 hours a day, if even, right?
Mhm.
For an employee, 9 to 5, they're working solely on your business 8 hours a day. So if you have two list managers of the same skill level, you're going to get way more out of an employee. If you have a list of 100,000 people and you're constantly doing promotions, you can do that with the employee. The
Okay.
contractor, at some point, again, the people that get you to 7 figures aren't going to get you to 8. So at some point, you got to bring on an employee, and that's really it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you are buying their attention, and you're buying them out of them working for other clients, and you're giving them benefits, and hopefully you're a good person that treats them well. So
Okay. Wow,
yeah.
babe. Really good. Okay. And then I know that's important, but again, for the sake of the podcast, let's talk about the importance of copy. Like
Oh,
why hire a copy? And then also I want to talk about, and whenever you have to get off, just let me know because we've
no,
already.
I could keep going. I can keep going.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, how important is, so these are the two things I want to move into now. How important is copy in emails? And I know that it is, but again, for the sake of the podcast and people listening, we don't know what stage they're at. Let's just articulate it. How important is copy? And then what are some of the like best practices? Like, for example, in corporate, we would ask for referrals. Like, hey, if you know anyone who's interested, because some of our highest quality converting leads were from fucking referrals, which the companies love because they were free, and you're paying $25,000 a month in fucking ads for shit leads, right? So something as simple, right? So something as simple in the bottom of the email, like, hey, if you're not interested, refer a friend or send it. So that would be one of our best practices. Another best practice is obviously is to have a call to action. But if you could talk about those two things, the importance of copy for conversion, and then best practices in emails for conversion. So not just in terms of, your sends and frequency of sends, but the actual email itself.
Yeah. So as far
Even
as
images, if you
copy,
want to talk about that shit in HTML and plain text, I don't know if you want to get into
oh
all
yeah,
that. Just individual text shit that helps to convert.
yeah, yeah. So your
Wait, one
main,
second before you talk, babe. When I edit this, it's gonna be like blah blah beep 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 with all the custom.
oh, that's okay. That's oh
I
good.
love.
So now I got the green light to curse as much as I want. Fantastic.
Oh yeah, we can go.
So uh so as far as copy, why
Yeah.
it's important.
Yes. Let's let the people know. They can't
Oh my
skip
God.
out on this, man. You gotta
What
hire
do you want
them
people to
sometimes.
do? Like what is your strategic intent behind email? When you send an email, what do you want people to feel? What
To
do you want them
feel.
to feel?
Okay.
Right?
Not just do, but feel.
Because
That's
doing
some
comes
shit right
from
there.
feeling. People only do stuff for one reason. It's because they feel like it, right? Or they don't have a choice, right? If they're being forced to do something, you know, it, at some point they're gonna have to feel like it to do that something, right?
Right.
If you some people are like, oh, I hate my job. I'm like, but you feel like working for it. No, no, I don't. I'm like, well, if you
Oh,
like the money, you're working the job. So you feel like going to work. So you clearly don't hate it enough to quit.
right.
So you want to evoke a feeling in people to get them to do what you want them to do. That's persuasion, right? Hopefully it's in their best interest. So the importance of copy is just making sure something people feel something. The reason why a lot of corporations and enterprises miss the mark is because they're talking to regular people so cold and so stiff and bland. I have never heard somebody say, wow, that email was refreshingly corporate. Not once. Not once.
No, they're gross. Yeah.
So that's where the idea of making somebody feel something comes in. So that's the importance of copy. You want people to do something, so they do it, right?
So what I'm getting from what you're saying, again, thinking of some of my previous clients, and looking at their emails, they would agree with you that, yeah, I want them to do something. I want them to go to my blog. I want them to do this. I want them to do that. And I put the links in my email, but the missing piece is the emotion. There's no real connection or story. It's kind of like blah, blah, blah. This is the new fashion style of the week. Did you hear about this? Click here, read more on our blog. And there's so I like that point. The copy is about persuasion and helping people feel something to move to action, not just putting a fucking link there as a call to action. Right? That's what you're saying.
Right. Absolutely. And some people, a big mistake I see people make is they give away the golden fucking goose. They'll say, if it's an email to direct someone to the blog post, what I see is people will summarize the blog post or the YouTube video, and they'll say everything that is said in that content and then say, hey, click on this, just click on it now. It's like, cool, now that we've given you our entire blog post and email, check out our blog posts. And it's like, no, emails need
A
to be more of a
teaser?
trailer. They need to be more of a teaser.
Okay.
Exactly. You want them to say, oh, so instead of summarizing my 3 tips on social media content,
Give
right,
it
to
to.
get clients, don't put those tips in the freaking email. Just say, hey, here are my 3 tips to get clients from social media. Click here. You
Yeah,
know, you could say one of them will surprise you, right?
that's good. On
Mm-hmm.
brand. My granddaughter, she knows. Don't bring me
Oh,
shit.
oh
On
boy.
brand.
Oh boy.
I think there's a robot or something. Okay. You got to say that again because my little flower just distracted me. What was the last thing you
Mhm.
just said? Because I was going to fall. Oh, I know. You're talking about the tips and the teasers, right? And people
Right.
may or may not know that there's another strategy behind that is sometimes you want to increase traffic to your website. You want to get those statistics and analytics. You want to drive them to your blog where there's other things to see, not just necessarily take an action from their email that drives them to the thing, right?
Yeah.
And I had learned that people, I don't know when back, but it's like, oh, we have these like 7 tips to get XYZ. Here's the first tip, the second tip, the third tip. And if you want the other ones, click here. So like
I
you're saying,
love that.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
that whole teaser and trailer thing.
Yeah.
We're dropping some golden bombs and nuggets on this because this is stuff I don't really hear people talking about really in terms
Yeah.
of email. I hear about
Mhm.
social lines and split testing. That's about it.
Well, there's a lot of general marketing people who try to dish a lot on email, and it's surface level advice. Me, I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to most things, but I do email, so that is my silo. So I think another thing in copywriting or emails that I see people do a lot of is they make it about them. No one gives a shit. Like it's like, oh, my team did this. Oh, I did a walk. Oh, I did that. It's like, guys, treat it like a date, right? If you went on a date with someone and all they did was talk about themselves, you're probably not going to go on a second, right? So you make it about the other person. You talk about their problems, their desires. If you have a sale going on, great. You know, you don't need to tease content all the time. Sometimes you can say, hey, here's the product, boom, 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 boom. But make sure you say, hey, here's the product. It's going to help you do blank. Or here's the sale. You know, you're going to, instead of saying, you know, here's 50% off an airline ticket, say, hey, it's a 50% off for an airline ticket that you and your spouse have been waiting for.
That's
Right?
such a little difference, but it really makes a big, because I was going to ask you
Yep.
that. How do I make it about them? Like, I felt again, like shit, I'm checking myself. I'm like, all my emails are about me. But I'm like,
Mhm.
how can I make it about them unless it's a survey? But what you're saying is just involve them more, or maybe explain the benefits, and not just in a typical marketing feature benefit way, but like
Yeah.
an emotional way. Like you're saying, here are, we have a sale on plane tickets for you and your family. Or yeah, I think I'm getting what you're saying here. I think
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're laying.
Exactly. And you can also have a personal email where you only talk about yourself and it's a story that you went through. And the story might relate to people or it might not. But if you're trying to monetize a list and you're just talking about your childhood the whole time and all the crap you went through, well, people are like, well, what's in it for me? All right. This isn't the David movie. This isn't the Nakimbe movie. You got to actually make it about them. You know, basic human psychology. People are there because they want to be there because it's what's in it for them. That's it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm trying to, what's coming in my mind now is like, what do I like about the emails that I open and read? I gotta think about that because I don't really know. But that
Yeah.
would be a good thing to get into a little bit. Like, what
Yeah.
makes people open your emails and stay on your list? Like,
That's a really good piece of advice that I've never given to people before. Take a look at the emails that make you open and ask yourself why. That's amazing. See, we're both learning here.
yeah,
That's amazing. I'm gonna say that on stage somewhere. I
yeah.
love that.
I'm sending this to you. You're gonna get a recording, so you can use it.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, you can use it for your own purposes. But yeah, I think I got goosebumps around that. Like I said, email can be emotional in psychology. And I have a friend, and she says she's got one of her friends has really good engagement because she treats her email list like a community, like a family, like they feel like they're
Mhm.
part of something. Okay. Okay, so I got the word spam trap. We'll talk about that after. I want to know about like your competition. There are other email list providers. How would, and so I'm just going to quickly read off my questions so I know where we're going, so I keep track.
Yeah.
But so one of them is a spam trap. I've heard this from you and someone else recently, and I don't know what a spam trap is. So I want to learn a little bit about that. Also,
Okay.
in terms of your competition, so you're an email list manager moving more into like strategic consulting. I want to know, how does a business owner pick between you or Troy or
Mhm.
Eric or Ed? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to say last names, but so how does someone pick an email list provider? Yeah, I think, and then I want platforms you like if there's like if you like MailChimp better than any other one, or just platforms you like, resources people might go to learn about email, and then how to grow your email list. Like, because now with DMARC and shit, and we'll follow up next week, but
Yeah.
fucking, it seems like with organic marketing or paid ads or whatever, growing your email list can be hard. And what
Yeah.
sucks is if you're paying a lot of money for paid ads to grow your email list, you're getting a lot of leads, but they're shit leads, because then you're going to end up scrubbing them any the fuck way. And so you paid for whatever. So those are the three things. Like I said, I'll talk to you about email all day, but we don't have to talk about spam traps first, but I do.
Yeah. That's more the deliverability side too. So if you
Perfect.
want to get into DKIM, SPF, DMARC, we
Save
could
that
talk
for
about
that.
spam traps then. Yeah.
Okay. So competition, how does someone pick a provider? Platforms that you like email marketing software platforms that you like. And then how do you sort of ethically grow your email list? My email list, like I said, I've got inherited lists from businesses that I worked with. And it went from, check this shit out. So it started off with like 12, 11,000 last year.
Okay.
And I got together with a deliverability specialist friend of mine. She cleaned the list. Like there were a whole bunch of unbalances, like 2,500 of them were just shit anyway. So we ended up going to like 5 or something like that. And then every year I have, like, the way the soul system works, every month we focus on a new channel that can deliver leads for free. So the first month is
Cool.
video, then local, then mobile, then whatever. And email is one of them. So I basically revisit email once a year, just like taxes. I revisit email once. And when she and I get together, it is all good and best practices for like the first 3 months. I'm cleaning my list. I because she also had to help me get over the psychological barriers of it, because almost every time I sent an email, 25 to 40 people would unsubscribe. So it got to a point, and that happens to a lot of people, right? I've read that. So some people, I don't want to send an email because people are going to unsubscribe, right? But I got used to it, and I started to think about it like dating or marriage, or like you said, the party. I don't want people on my fucking list that they don't want to be there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But for an entrepreneur, like, I don't want my list to go from 5,000 to like 2,500. It took some psychological hand holding basically for her to get me there. But then I fell into bad practices again. And then so this is my annual email podcast time or whatever. But yeah, so we spoke again a couple days ago, and I kind of fell off with best practices with email, right? So yeah, I don't even know why I was talking about all of that shit. Oh yeah, I was saying that once a year I do it, but then I kind of fall off because email is so emotional.
Yeah.
So what do you tell people? They're like, I don't want to send emails because people are going to come off my list. Like, we can talk about the psychology of it.
Yeah.
Get into how to pick. And I'm saying that, let's talk about the psychology a little bit, because that's going to move into how you pick an email list manager. And, because I think a lot of it also has to do with relationships. Most people that I name probably have, and I don't know because I haven't worked with them, I'm on their email list. So I know that they obviously have some good email, capabilities. So I think relationship is what it comes down to in terms of who you decide to work with, because everybody probably has similar competencies, maybe with strengths in different areas. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the psychology of email, and then how that plays into who one would hire. Like, what should I be looking for in terms of, let's say, if I'm supposed to pick between you, Ed, Troy, and Eric, for example, if you know who I'm talking about. But those are the 4 email people I know. How would one choose? And I guess relationships are important because you probably meet with them like once a week?
Yeah. I usually don't meet with them. I send them a Loom video once a week of, hey, here's what's going on. And I meet with them just about once a month. Right.
Okay.
So that way we can, and as a business owner,
I like that. You're setting my
way,
expectations right now. Like, again, I'm thinking I'm going to be talking to you every week, but you're like, no. That's a month. Okay.
There's one client I have that we do that. So, but I'm okay with him because it's very fast. I also learn something every time I talk with him. So I'm like, yeah, I do want to be on these calls. It's for my benefit. He doesn't know that, but yeah, really I call him weekly.
Choosing a person. What are we looking for?
Yeah. So I'd say the person, if you're choosing, between me, Eric, Troy, it comes down to the relationships. How much do they like you? How much do you like them? Does the personalities blend? Because if it doesn't matter if they send great emails that make you a ton of money, if they're a dick, you're not going to want to work with them. If you are like, yeah, this just isn't working out, then it's not working out. Hire somebody else, because the list manager, it's not like what am I looking for? It's not like a graphic designer where, you might hire them once every month or so, or every couple of months. You might find a different one. An email list manager is someone in your business. They are constantly there. So hire the one that you like, hire the one that's got a good reputation. And if you're not getting the results you want, set the expectation. They should ask you from the beginning, hey, what's the metric that you want? Like, what should we be optimizing for? Is it ROI? Is it just getting emails out? You're setting expectations, right? Well, so that's really it. And I think giving a lot of organic content, again, going back to the sold system, it just positions you well enough that people are willing to have the conversation with you, and then you both can figure out whether or not it's a fit. So that's it. Like I walk into sales calls with a I don't need your money type attitude.
Right.
Really. There's a guy that yeah, I'm gonna talk about this. There's a guy that wanted deliverability fix, and he was straight up spamming people. And I looked at the systems and I went, dude, this is terrible. I am refunding your money. We are not going to do future business. I don't need this on my conscience. I do not need your money. So just walking into that relationship with, hey, is this a good fit? Do we blend? That's critical.
Yeah, I
That's
think
so critical.
because that person really does become, because the more and more I'm getting into this conversation, like the feeling like you're talking about how emotion's so important. You're right. It's not just a graph. You're almost like not just an employer. You're almost like family. It's like you're going to intimately know my business. And I think if I'm picking a list manager, I want you to care about my business. And if you're just treating it as I got to send this out and look at the analytics and do my job to get paid, that's not necessarily what I want. I want someone who's going to care enough about the conversions and the tweaks and the conversations to help me win. So it's not just about capabilities and competency. It's also about that sort of collaboration and stuff. That's what I'm getting from this. Okay.
You got it. You nailed it.
All right, high
So
five.
yeah.
And then what platforms do you like? Because years ago, when I first started out, right, people were on Constant Contact. I got onto there was Constant Contact and then Eye Contact. I was on Eye Contact.
Yeah.
And then a really good like marketing guru way back when said MailChimp was the best back then for deliverability. So I switched over to MailChimp. And then there have been a bunch of other ones that have come out since, right? So my next two questions are, what are your kind of favorite email marketing platforms and why? And then the other one was, I don't know what it is. I'll have to look up my notes, but yeah, which kind of platforms do you like and why? Let's start there.
All right. So I've tested out.
And what's important, I guess, also, because you're going to say that you tested out, but what should one be looking for? So that's your answer. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to get into that. So I'm glad you asked that. So I tested out anywhere between, it's got to be at least a dozen. It's over a dozen and under 2 dozen. So I took a look at a lot of email providers. I tested their deliverability. I looked on the inside, and the best ones, the ones that I really like, or the ones that didn't let me in because they're so strict. Number 1 is Campaign Refinery. Again, that's my top pick. They're incredible. Go high level, integrated with Mailgun, not LC email. I like having the Mailgun dashboard that I can see. They've got damn good deliverability. And Morrow Post, I tried getting into that one, but they wouldn't let me. Which is that's great.
That's
and
a
I've
good
heard,
sign. I know I hate it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about their deliverability. SendLane, if you're an e-com, I've tested their stuff. They are incredible. So those are my 4 ones. Are there more out there?
Yeah.
There probably are some really great ones. I just haven't found them yet. But at some point at an enterprise level, you don't use those. You actually have someone build an internal email system and set that up for your company. Yeah. Because I've looked, I've tested, and I'm like, those are a bunch of IP addresses I don't recognize. This is weird. Oh, wait a minute, it's custom for them. So those are my 4. I am not going to speak badly of other ESPs on podcasts and stages. If you come up to me in person, I will tell you exactly what I think of them. But there's a reason. There are multiple reasons why the household names ESPs are not on that list, on the list that I just gave you. I
Okay, right.
don't like
Yeah.
them. I don't like them. There's a lot of other reasons.
We can
But
probably get into
yeah.
those reasons without naming any platforms on our next follow-up, because
And even I can tell you why I like the platforms that I do, and you can assume that these other platforms do the
don't
opposite.
have those things. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard of so me and my, I won't call it ignorance, but what I used to think, again, I haven't really done too much email, but my first one I know was iContact, then I moved to MailChimp and I'm still there, but I have my own kind of thing now with, it's called
Okay.
Mac Mail, but that's a whole other story. But in my mind, I thought that as I evolved as an entrepreneur, I would get into more fancy or sophisticated emails like Entreport or
Mm-hmm.
Infusionsoft with all of their tags and their, like, you know, their matrix web designs of. So for somehow in my mind, I thought that that's where I was going to be moving into with the tagging, and that they did this action. If they do action, they go there and all this kind of stuff. How important is that, or how relevant would that be or not be in terms of like evolving to one of those other 4 platforms that you're talking about? Like, do you understand my question? I'm
Yeah.
thinking, well, MailChimp
Oh,
is
I
so
do.
easy. Yeah. And once
Yeah.
I get more sophisticated, I'll have these tags and these, oh, they looked at this email, but they did look at
Yeah.
this. Yeah, tell me about, because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I have to go from baby MailChimp to Entreport or Infusionsoft, and I need a degree, a PhD in fucking Infusionsoft from what I hear. um, and then you're
Yeah.
talking about these other platforms. So yeah, I guess we can get into what makes those platforms good, because you have answered my question. You did name the 4. So we'll leave it at that
Mm-hmm.
for now. We'll pick that other stuff up next time. And then I don't know how many more I have, but I know my last one that I see anyway is resources. So if I don't have a lot of cash, or if someone just wants to educate themselves or learn more, where do you go? What newsletters are you on? Who do you follow on social media? Where do you get your most up-to-date email information? Like the last information that came out with Google and Yahoo, not everybody knows about it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do people get relevant, valid email information? How could they become better at doing email and understanding email themselves as an entrepreneur, so they're
Mm-hmm.
more equipped with knowledge moving forward before they hire a list manager, or when they know they need to hire a list manager, or when they discover they have a problem?
Yeah. So
What resources or social media or gurus do you follow? Who should we
I don't,
follow?
honest to God, if
It's
you
just you.
typed in
Okay.
email stuff, oh no, there are a couple people, a couple
No, but
resources.
I mean,
I
you
do
just
not
rely
know
on yourself.
everything.
Right.
Yeah. But if you go into YouTube and you type in how to do emails, oh my God, the level of shit
Right.
that people get away with, it's terrible. It's
Yeah.
fucking awful.
Yeah.
So
So they're
the
misled,
people,
right? Right off the bat, they're misled. They're
it's
not getting the real relevant information they need.
exactly.
Where do we get
It's
that? How do we know we're being lied to or misguided? Like, where?
you
So that's why
don't.
we're going to tell people where to go.
Yeah.
If there's
So
anything you can
I
suggest.
would follow some people on social media that I really like.
Okay, who are they?
So Kristen Rushman,
Okay.
she's incredible. And her last name is spelled Ruschman. Kristen, if I'm getting it wrong, I profusely apologize. She's great for deliverability. Jacob Sakau, and his last name is Suckow. He's great for content. You find a lot of his stuff on LinkedIn. Kristen's on Facebook. I would go to some more of this deliverability stuff. I would go to mailgun.com and take a look at their content there. You can follow me. I'm gonna plug myself.
Of course.
I don't like it when people go, yeah, it's a shameless plug. I don't give a shit. Like, you
We're
can follow my
marketers. We
stuff.
need to eat,
Yeah.
and we have value to offer. That's one of the things you
Mhm.
mentioned earlier in terms of like your pricing. You just tell them what it is and you just tell them how it's going to go. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
You know what you're
Yeah.
doing. So you have to trust me. If you're hiring me, you got to trust me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm way more active inside of Facebook groups like Expert Summit. because
Okay.
because like the algo supports posting in groups for me, not so much my profile. So you can follow me there. A couple of other people, Troy Erickson's great on content,
Okay.
on like email, like writing emails. You know, I would follow not his socials, but I get on his email list. Paul Buzan is an incredibly talented copywriter, so I follow his stuff. But really, at the end of the day, there's not a lot of people I trust out there. There's
That's good for us to
like,
know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and even myself, look, sometimes I'm wrong, and I'm more than happy to say that. I've had to create posts where I'm like, hey, I believe this 2 years ago. I was fucking wrong.
Of course.
So you do want to find people who go, yeah, I was wrong. And
Yeah.
find people who are just email people. Here's a good guideline. Do not follow people who are, you know, social media strategists, email strategists, ad strategists. Like, unless you've been in the industry for 10 years and you've gone through multiple economic cycles and you have the wherewithal about that, I don't follow people who do it all,
Okay.
unless they've done what I've done for longer than me and give advice that's better than mine, in my conceited opinion. So I do follow Onyx and Gall. He's got some great email stuff as well. I do not follow a lot of gear shaped red and blue influencers.
Okay.
I look at what they do rather than what they say.
Right.
So yeah, so that's my list.
Okay. I like
Mhm.
that. I like that. I was like, my company provides it all. But I get what you're saying. It's like, I mean, I'm fine for those people that need that. It's like, because I'm a chief marketing officer, so I
Yeah.
know all of the different parts. But you're
Mhm.
right. I mean, if someone for my like I don't run an email business, but I help people with their business, and if they need particular
Yeah.
things, you know. So for this one lady that I'm doing her email for, like I said, she makes money every time I send out an email. But I know,
Mhm.
again, it's contract, and I do a lot of other shit for a lot of other people. Once and when she gets to the point of like a large list, because I'm helping her with lead gen as well, you're right. I wouldn't want to do that. I would outsource it to, like, I'd charge like
Exactly.
$5,000 and pay someone $3,000 to do it or something. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess it also depends on what you need. Like you're saying, sometimes you need an employee, sometimes you just need a contractor. And
Right.
so
And
that really,
sometimes you need a generalist to get you started. I think there's different layers to the game, right? There are people who will look at my content and be like, "Oh, this kid sucks." And they'll be right because they're ahead. You know, there's a lot of email people that know way more than me because they've been in the game 20 years, but they just don't post a lot on social media,
right.
right? So the what is it? The uh it's a cognitive bias that people have. It's like the recency effect or something like that. So if you see people more, you think they're more of an authority, but there are some people out there, they just don't talk. They just do really,
Oh
really
yeah.
well.
Like sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, I do social media because I mean, I like the branding and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need to do like I don't need to do this. Nobody needs to know. Like I'm doing shit.
Yeah,
I don't have to tell anybody. You know what
exactly.
I
So for me, I
mean?
would not listen to a generalist about email marketing advice because I this is my silo. I've been it for a long time. So I go to people who have been in email marketing for a while. But again, if you're getting started, you know, listen to Nakimbe. Why not? And if she brings on an email specialist, great. There might be some things that I say that go over your head. So start at level 1, move to level 2,
Yeah,
right? I might be a
that's
level
all you're
10.
saying. Yeah, I take them.
Right.
I take them to the
Yeah.
next step.
Because you've done it. So you
Yeah.
can give advice on it, you know? I don't like the saying the whole, oh, just be one step ahead of them. No, that's bullshit. Like actually have experience. Maybe
I know.
maybe try that.
Yeah.
So don't, if you're at level 1, don't listen to somebody who's at level 2. Listen to someone who's at level 5. Once
Yeah.
you're at level 5, listen to someone who's at level 10. Because listening to somebody at level 100 might go over your head,
Right.
right? So that's how I gauge it in my mind.
No, this was like bombastic, better than, I mean, I never have expectations because these things just always happen organically, but you've blown my mind. Like I had no idea. I learned so much. There was just so much like, holy fuck, wow moments. This is like,
Mhm.
all my podcasts are pretty good because I have good people on them.
Oh,
But
thanks.
yeah, this was amazing. So I'm looking forward to our next one where we will talk about, since you know about deliverability, because I reached out to a friend, Ed, but he's like, I can't help you with any of the tech stuff. I could just talk to you about email best practices. So I'm
Cool.
cool. But yeah, so next time we will have part 2 of this. We can talk about, since you said you know the tech part, the deliverability, DMARC, DKIM, all that kind of shit, what people need to do. And then we'll also talk a little bit about AI, just because this has been a long enough.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I'd love to talk about AI and its role in emailing or cleaning up email or writing emails. And yeah, we can talk about those things probably next week. You'll just let me know what your schedule is like next week. If this time works, we can do it again this time, but whatever.
Oh, this
Thank
is
you,
awesome.
my love. Was this good? Did you get something?
Yeah.
after our talk?
Yeah. I learned from you the whole look at why you open the emails you do. Look at the emails that you open constantly and ask yourself why. That's so fucking dope. So I'm sticking with that. I'm using that.
Work today.
I
We did good work. I'm proud of us. We did good work. We
We
helped
did
people when they
good.
watch this fucking shit. This
Oh
is
yeah.
help people. That's
Hmm.
what I like to do.
I don't think I've ever heard someone talk about the copywriter contractor, email list contractor, and
Employee.
employee
No,
before ever.
never.
And I had to learn that the hard way for the past 3 months. So
Yeah.
like it's awesome that that was actually released, because that would have helped me from the agency side to be like, dude, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. There's so much stuff. I'm gonna repurpose this for content.
Oh yeah.
It's
As soon
awesome.
as it's downloaded, baby, I will
Oh yeah.
send it to you. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. I don't care. I so appreciate your time. But yeah, we will definitely circle back and we'll get into the tech stuff like next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll message you for the time then.
Okay. I
Sweet.
love you, baby. Thank you so much.
You're the coolest. You're the coolest.
The
All
best,
right.
babe. Okay, have a great afternoon. We'll talk soon.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.